Every decision a business makes has financial implications, and any decision which involves money is a corporate finance decision. It is a fundamental subject when it comes to understanding businesses and could be more appropriately called business finance. In this short video, we will look at the first principles of corporate finance which apply to all businesses, whether they are large, publicly traded firms or small, privately run businesses. Let me introduce a framework which lays out the finance view of a firm, the financial balance sheet. In corporate finance, the unit of analysis is a firm, which generically refers to any type of business. Just like an accounting balance sheet, a financial balance sheet has assets on the left and liabilities on the right. A firm's investments are generally known as assets. A financial balance sheet has two types of assets. One, investments already made by the firm, which are called assets in place. Second, are growth assets, which are assets in which the firm is expected to invest in the future. In order to finance these investments, a firm has to raise money, which are called liabilities. A firm can raise money from broadly two sources, debt and equity. Debt is raised from investors or financial institutions by promising a fixed stream of payments, usually called interest. Alternatively, the firm can offer ownership in the business to raise equity. There are two key differences between an accounting balance sheet and a financial balance sheet. One, accounting balance sheets measure value of assets in terms of book value, whereas a financial balance sheet focuses on the current market value. As an example, if I bought land 20 years back for 100 rupees and it is worth 50 lakh in today's market, a typical accounting balance sheet will still show the value of the land as 100 rupees. Second, accounting balance sheets are backward looking and focus mostly on assets in place, whereas financial balance sheets are forward looking and give importance to growth assets. Think about early stage startups with billion-dollar valuations. A significant part of their valuation comes from growth assets, not assets in place. The growth of corporate finance theory can be traced to one overarching objective of the business firm: to maximize the value of the firm. Thus, any decision which increases the value of the firm is considered a good decision, whereas one which reduces firm value is a poor decision. Although the choice of a singular objective has provided corporate finance with a unifying theme and internal consistency, it comes at a cost. To the degree that one buys into this objective, much of what corporate finance theory suggests makes sense. To the degree that this objective is flawed, it can be argued that the theory built on it is flawed as well. Many of the disagreements between corporate finance theorists and others, academics as well as practitioners, can be traced to fundamentally different views about the correct objective of a business. For instance, some critics argue that firms should have multiple objectives where a variety of interests, those of stockholders, employees, and customers, are met, and there are others who would have firms focus on what they view as simpler and more direct objectives, such as market share or profitability. Given the significance of this objective for both the development and the applicability of corporate finance theory, it is important to examine it in much more detail and much more carefully so that some of the very real concerns and criticisms it has garnered can be addressed. It assumes what stockholders do in their own interest is also best for the interests of the firm. It sometimes depends on the existence of efficient markets, and it is often blind to the social costs associated with value maximization. All of corporate finance is based on the analysis of three decisions or principles: the investment decision, the financing decision, and the dividend decision. The investment decision determines where businesses invest their resources. The financing decision governs the mix of financing between debt and equity, which is used to fund these investments. And the dividend decision answers the question: how much earnings should be reinvested back into the business and how much should be returned to the owners of the business. The investment decision involves choosing projects which yield a return greater than a minimum acceptable return, which is called the hurdle rate. The hurdle rate is supposed to be higher for riskier projects and should reflect the financing mix used to fund the project. Returns on projects are measured based on cash flows generated and the timing of these cash flows. The financing decision consists of selecting an optimal mix of debt and equity, which maximizes firm value, and matching the financial instruments to the nature of the project and its cash flows. Finally, the dividend decision relates to returning cash to the owners of the business if there aren't enough projects which will earn more than the hurdle rate, and deciding whether to return the money via dividends or stock buybacks. While corporate finance theory has laid out these principles over the last few decades, it is obvious that they involve a significant amount of common sense. Good business people over the ages have always recognized the importance of these first principles and adhered to them, although in intuitive ways. The ability to make these key decisions in effective ways lies at the heart of running a successful business. With that, let us look at three fundamental propositions about corporate finance. First, corporate finance has an internal consistency because it chooses a single objective, maximizing firm value. There are some bedrock principles which will make a recurring appearance in corporate finance. Risk has to be rewarded, cash flows are more important than accounting income, markets are not easily fooled, and every decision, no matter how big or small, has an effect on firm value. Second, corporate finance has to be viewed as one integrated decision aimed at maximizing firm value. The three key decisions related to investment, financing, and dividend have an impact on each other. As an example, a firm which makes poor investments will not have sufficient funds to make dividends, and the drop in earnings will make it difficult for it to pay interest on loans and bonds. Lastly, corporate finance is important for everyone. This is an important point to remember. There is a corporate finance aspect to almost every decision. While not everyone will find a use for all the components of corporate finance, everyone will find a use for at least some part of it. Entrepreneurs, marketing managers, corporate strategists, HR and IT managers all make corporate finance decisions every day and often don't realize it. An understanding of corporate finance will definitely help them make better decisions.